Good evening. This is the Town of Newfane Selectboard meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday, May 21st, 2018. And we welcome everybody who's come to be in the audience. And the Select Board members up here are Mike Fitzpatrick, Mike, Road Commissioner Chris Williams, Shelley Huber, Gary Delius, I'm Marion Dowling. We have road foreman here and members of the public. So the first item of tonight's agenda is additions or amendments to the agenda. Is there anybody who has either an addition to the agenda or an amendment? No. Okay. So we're moving down to minutes. We have two sets of minutes. The first one is from our regular meeting, which was on May 7th. If everybody's read it, can we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept for discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Let the record show that I was in attendance at that meeting.
Sorry, Gary.
That's all right. Motion to approve as revised.
Revised, okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? No. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes of May 7th, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes and the minutes have been approved. The next set of minutes was for May 14th, and that was a special meeting. If everybody's read the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Anybody have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there a discussion about those
Do you have a
minutes?
copy of this?
In my piles.
Well, you put pictures up earlier and you grabbed the other stuff.
Oh,
It might have gotten stuck in your
yeah.
earlier stuff.
Any discussion? We did. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the special meeting minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda under the heading Road Business is Road Foreman's and Road Commissioner's report. Jay Wilson, Road Foreman, can you please read your report?
Sure. Grading is continuing and all the high traffic roads have been done once. We're working on the less traveled roads now. The paving bids for this summer are ready to be sent out. Extensive ditch work has been done on Otis Road, trying to drain a wet road that we've had trouble with for many years. I have the software for the radar sign, and we'll be installing it later this week. The forms are all built, and we'll be pouring concrete on Wednesday for the culvert headers. And we'll be putting signs up on Sunset Lake Road next week, warning of delays for the culvert and ditching work that we've got to do. And our signs are small, so we can't put a lot of words, but we'll try to warn them the best we can that there's going to be delays up there. So, and that's it.
Okay. Motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Jay, very much. Road Commissioner, do you have anything to add?
No.
Chris?
Everything's cool.
Okay, next item of business is the Baker Brook Road closure request.
I had a call from a street company that wanted to close Baker Brook Road right near the beginning off of Dover Road. And because it's our truck route, I said initially no, and that it had to come to you guys. They're willing to do it on a weekend, but there's still trucks, because of the covered bridge, that's the only way around for people bigger than 11.6 or whatever it is. So I don't know how you want to approach it. He doesn't have a place to get off the road there. Or he doesn't. He needs 30 feet to set a crane up to remove trees in the back.
They're setting up for right-of-way clearing for,
It's behind the house, I think.
Okay.
On State
Tree
Right.
removal way back from the road. There's no place to do it. But I don't see that that road can be closed all day, and that's what they want to do, is close it for a whole day. You got fire, you got ambulance, you got fire, you got, it just, we have people who live up on Baker Brook, well, up on the parish, that are elderly, that are not well. And I just don't see that it, I don't see how it can happen.
What would you propose?
To say no, they'll have to figure another alternative way of doing it.
Do you know where the house is or the property is that they're trying to get to?
Yeah,
Where, is it, on the Brook side or on the
no, on
other
the other
side?
side, it's right, it's the second place in on the right on Baker Brook.
There's no place else to set up anyway.
Well, I think they could set up in the yard. They're gonna work over a roof, they're gonna work over the house, what they're gonna do. But evidently the landowner doesn't want them. Oh, he's planted trees and there's just no way. They wanted to go through adjoining property
Yeah,
that they could get through to go there, but there is a septic system and a leach field that they can't drive over, so that's out completely.
they couldn't steel plate it?
No.
I don't think so.
And that's somebody else's property too.
Jay, have you met with this person?
No, I just talked to them on the phone. I mean, I know the property, but I just talked with the tree company on the phone.
Could you and Chris go make an appointment and go up there and walk around with them?
Yeah.
Well, there's no real, I mean, it's,
I don't think it's.
that's about the only alternative, unless they do it by hand. Climb the tree and take it down, trees, excuse me, plural. There's several of them they're gonna take down.
Yeah, we had the same situation with my son's landscaping, and they had to climb the tree.
But these are huge
It
trees.
was, yeah, this was a big, and it was rotten, but they did it. They were able to do it.
So your
What do you think,
recommendation is
Jay?
not to close the road then, right?
Mine is, I don't see how you can.
I'll go with that. Let them figure out something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind talking to the guy and looking at it. I don't have a problem with that.
I think that would be a good thing to start with, it's just for
But
someone
I
to
don't,
go up
there's just,
and
there's
talk to him.
all kinds of wires in the way.
I can call the tree company and see if they can come up and meet with us.
Yeah, I think that would be
Okay, I don't
very
have a
good.
problem with that whatsoever.
Well, thank you, so that you can do that. Okay, thank you. I think it's best to get together. Okay, we are now up to truck bids. And this is an important part of the evening, and so I have some important requests again, and that is, I'm going to ask the road foreman and the road commissioner to start off talking about the truck bids from their point of view of what they have found out. After that, anybody else who wants to speak, please raise your hand so that I can recognize you, so that we can have an orderly time of discussing this. But I'd like to start with Jay and then Chris. Thank you.
So the whole crew has reviewed the bids. I'll start out with we had 2 additional body bids from, or 1 additional bid with a different body company from Viking. So we went with that one first, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but the number of highlighted things are the items that were left out of the Viking bid. So we did some subtracting and so forth, and if you take all that stuff off of the Tenco bid, it comes out to $1,400 cheaper than the Viking. However, those aren't things you want taken off. You want the better strength in the body. They use a thicker steel in the sidewalls. They didn't include the same light package. There was a number of things here, the stainless steel moldboard. So by the time we got done, it wasn't a cheaper option. So we're recommending that we stick with the original body that we had requested. And then you get to the trucks. It starts out with trying to compare, all these bids was very time consuming. Especially after reading them multiple times, you start kind of losing yourself in them. But the main points are the frame we had specified, it's called RBM, it's the resist bending moment. It's when the frame actually bends. We had put a minimum of 2,820,000 inch-pounds, and the Freightliner and Western Star are only 2,592,000. The inner frame liner they did remove on the Western Star bid and Freightliner bid, but they've added that the battery company would install additional front frame reinforcement for the snowplow. With the Mack, you don't have to do that. And the GVW on neither the Western Star or the Freightliner doesn't meet our minimum specs of 45,000. We noticed that the passenger seat is not an air ride seat, and we had specified Haldex slack adjusters on all four wheels, and they've only got it on the rear. And there was a lot of other small items, but those were kind of the main points that we had covered. Christopher, you've got anything to add to the?
You've pretty well worded it after what we've gone through. You have everything written down. You don't want a lighter body.
No.
Because if you get a lighter body, in about 3 years, you've got to put a new body on the truck. You said adding all that up, it doesn't come out right on the bottom line. You get what you pay for. Sometimes better to pay more and come out and have it last. That's about all I've got to offer.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Chris. If anybody has comments or wants to say anything from the audience or Selectboard, please raise your hand and I'll recognize you one person at a time. Yes?
As a former road foreman and as somebody that worked for the town of Newfane.
Excuse me, Todd, could you stand up and come a little closer? Thanks.
I don't have my hearing aids.
Well, as a former road foreman, somebody who worked for the town for 35 years, you don't want to start cutting corners on these trucks. They're going to be here 10 years. That's a long time. The Tenco bodies are a lot better body than these guys went and looked at them. Tenco is definitely far better than Viking. You got stainless steel corners on the back body so it can't rust. You got Hardox metal in that body so that the body's really rugged and resists rust. Plus, the other thing I've got is that, did anybody send McDivitt a thing saying that these people are bidding a cheaper body? I don't think so. And this is just what you guys get into the last time. That Mac had to buy back and he didn't, so let's throw it out and start all over again. So, to me, you haven't asked McDivitt to bid on the cheaper body, so I would, as a taxpayer, I would say to you that the Vikings gotta go. I mean, because it wasn't done properly. Nobody asked Mac to put their price in on that. It's the same thing with a truck. I mean, this is just stuff that Jay did. The biggest thing to me is the frame. You don't want to start monkeying around with putting frame liners in it. If the truck can't hold the plow in the wing on this without beefing up the frame, there's something wrong with the truck. Those are my points for now. So.
Yeah, Chris?
One more thing.
Yes. Thank you,
On one of
Todd.
those, it says, in the transmission is only good for plowing on blacktop roads. Which truck was that? Jay?
Right. I think the very line.
Right on. It says right on the paperwork. I don't see what the hell good a truck is for the town of Newfane. You can't plow dirt roads because we got more dirt roads than we do blacktop.
Yep. It's a very line.
You raised your hand, yes, please.
Yeah,
Doug.
Yeah, getting back to the point about the specs and all that, Patriot contends that all their trucks meet the same specs, the specs that were put out during the bid. Also, remember, to get, how we came back here the second time was McDevitt Trucks put in a guaranteed buyback that wasn't part of the original spec, you know, to begin with. So Patriot went in there and came back with another bid that wasn't anointed to Tenco, but would meet your required bid specs. So I think you need to take it and make a decision on what you really want and stop wasting everybody else's time. If, you know, all these other towns that are around you have the Western Star product with Viking and Tenco, I really don't care. I really don't care what body they are. I just care about what chassis that you put on it. But if your mind's up to pay more for a Mack, that everybody manufacturer puts reinforcements in. I don't care if it's on a bid or not. Everybody manufacturer puts reinforcements in. And they'll tell you, if they're true, that the Western Star and the Freightliner product has the best frame, the strongest frame.
That's not what they told me today.
Okay.
And I mean, the figures are there, I can't dispute them.
I really don't have any more, to say, other than I request that you make a decision. Oh, maybe one more.
Yes.
I did hear when I came in this morning, they were talking about a bid, and that bids were faxed in. Is that true?
No,
That was on
it's
X.
not.
Not for that?
No.
Okay.
Is there anybody else who has something to say? Gary?
The top bid and low bid, 22,833 difference in price. Are we getting a product that is justifiable to the voters to spend 22,833 more for than the lowest price bid, which people say, I'm confused whether they meet the specifications or not. I'm assuming everybody does. Okay, Chris.
Can I? Oh, okay, Chris?
Come right out and said it does not, they do not meet the other two trucks.
I'm just
Do not
saying
meet-
about
They
the
don't
numbers.
meet the specifications that is written down, that they don't meet it.
Okay.
Okay,
That's,
Gary, Gary, can you please read aloud the lowest bid that you're referring to and the highest bid? Just say
The lowest bid is 152,851. That's just for the truck and the body. Those two items, not any of the other extended warranty, anything like
Okay.
that. Just the truck and the body. The high bid is 175,654. The low bid is 152,851.
Okay. So, Todd?
Which body are you talking about here?
I'm talking about that'd be the Freightliner with the Viking body.
That's,
So I'm looking at what's the most expensive, what came in as the lowest bid.
right. But see, again, you're not being fair to McDevitt if that's what you're gonna do, because you never asked McDevitt to bid a cheaper body. This is what you guys went into last time.
I thought we got everything out to everybody to rebid.
On our specs, which were the Tenco body.
They didn't ask me for the Viking bid either. I put it out there. I submitted it.
I mean, an or equal is of course permitted anytime. And it's up to you guys to make the decision.
I mean, I'd like to say something. My understanding, Shannon, has been that the town residents, citizens of Newfane, gave us a budget of $180,000 for a truck. Is that correct?
Yes, the voters voted to spend no more than.
No more than, but we could pay up to $180,000.
That's what was approved at town.
Okay, so both bids are obviously under $180,000. And,
No. Oh.
yeah,
It's under 180?
well, Gary just said it's 175. We just read it, right, Gary?
Those are that's for the body and the cabin chassis.
Yeah, but that's.
You've
that's
got,
what-
you've got
That's
these
without
other items.
warranties.
Because
No warranties are included with that,
Right.
correct?
Right.
is that the one we were using? Is that the one we were using?
No, I'm using this one, and this one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
Want to make a
the,
motion?
the cheaper body doesn't meet our requirements.
Right.
So that, we really can't, I mean, in order to
Use the specs.
do that, you have to bring up all of the items that we're missing on that spec, and then the price is gonna change.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we go with the 2019 Western Star cabin chassis, and the body be decided by the time the truck gets there. Either go with the Viking or the Tempo. It's a matter of $10,000 difference. I mean, I don't care if you got 180,000. Everybody I've talked to in the last 2 weeks said everybody's complaining about the taxes, and $10,000 is $10,000, you know?
What is it gonna be, $10,000 at the end of 10 years?
Was it?
No.
You're already 10,000 cheaper, so like that 30-some
You're gonna have it
thousand,
10
you're gonna give you in
years.
10 years, you're only looking at 28.
How much more are you gonna have in repairs and all that though? That 10,000 is,
Who knows? None of us are mindset. If that thing could go forever, it could go to hell the next day you get it. But I said that money's money, and we've asked these guys to bid. I mean, there's no sense sitting here picking it apart like we did last time.
well, that's what you're
And I
supposed to
said
do
that,
as a select board, hopefully that's what you're going to do.
Well, it was like a lynch mob, I thought, last time on that, guys. You got going about the steel, Sterling and everything else. And I mean, I don't want to get going on that whole thing again, but I think,
Okay, so-
I just made a recommendation, I said I think we ought to vote on it. I need a
Well,
motion.
Mike made a motion.
Can you just, it was the Western Star with which body?
That can be determined later, if I
Oh,
want the
okay.
Viking or the Tempo.
Okay.
Okay, so before we discuss, we need to have a second on
I'll
that
second
motion. Okay, now we can have discussion.
Okay, Western Star, the batteries are under the seat. That's a no-no.
And they said they could move that out.
Yeah, but that's already changed in the bid. It's not,
He said it goes out the same money, he already told you that.
But what do we do with the GVW not being what we specified in the frame? I mean, we're accepting less than we spec.
so there's no sense stacking anything out in this town anymore.
So the weight of it is not correct.
Does not meet our bid.
All right,
The only one is the Mac.
All three of our trucks have the exact same GVW on them, it's 45,120.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we specified as the minimum GVW,
Uh-huh.
and this one doesn't meet it.
Well, we're allowed to, we have it on the agenda that we can discuss this and give our opinions. So, and we don't want this to drag on, as we said, and we don't want it to get into upsets. But we need to discuss it.
Yeah, it's a big purchase and it's
Yes.
a lot of parts, moving
Yes.
parts. And I didn't see where
I'm going to say my opinion again. I am not, this is my opinion. I'm not telling anybody to vote this way, but we have a road commissioner and a road foreman, and we have a previous road foreman, and we have a road crew members here. And in my opinion only, they are the ones who are using this truck, whichever truck they get. They're the ones who we applaud and praise and thank all the time that they do a wonderful job. And I personally just don't see why a crew who works so hard and where the citizens and the select board are always saying we're so grateful that we have you. And this is one truck why is it that they can't do it if it's still under the budget? That's my opinion. Yes, Doug?
I'm just looking at it, GBWs, I just don't understand where you're saying that we don't meet specs. I mean, it's got a 30,000-pound rear axle and an 18,000-pound front axle. So, you know, that's 48,000 pounds in my book.
But that's not what it'll stay on the door when it comes.
That's it. You know, so that's your GBW.
So you're guaranteeing that will say 48,000 GVW when it comes?
That's what's gonna be on that door, and
Okay.
that's what's gonna be there. I mean, we meet this specs 100%. And so, but if you want a Mac, buy a Mac. But I don't see anybody here from Mac. And I haven't seen anybody here from Mac for three times. I'm here, and you're gonna get me to answer all your problems, and I'm gonna be here forever. No fictitious Mac salesperson.
Clint, you said at the last meeting you were retiring in 3 years, so you're not gonna be here forever. That truck's still gonna be,
Tomorrow I might be dead too.
yeah, well, me too.
So,
I just don't, come on.
Now what about?
buy a Mac. That's what I'm saying. If that's what you care, buy a Mac. But we meet the spec. Tell that to the taxpayers.
It doesn't say in that sheet that, what you just said, though.
Yes, it does.
There's a difference between calculated GVW. Well, I've got the frame sheets here.
That's all right.
But, so we need that somewhere in writing, then if that's gonna be the GVW, so it doesn't meet it. Because I believe if you calculate it, it comes out to 41 and not 45.
I just showed you. It was 30.
It's the tires, it's the rims, it's everything was calculated in GVW. I've got about 40 hours into this whole thing trying to study it. So my other question is, the reason we put it out to bid is to get the buyback, which he decided not to do or exclude from. So I thought that's why it went out to rebid.
Can anybody answer Jay's question?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We put it out to bid again because they weren't asked for a buyback figure. And MAC included it, so that's why we put it out to bid a second time.
That's right.
And they decided not to give this.
Mike, do you have
I
an
don't
answer?
know, I
for
couldn't
that?
say, I wasn't at the meeting.
Well, like I said, you're already 15, 20,000 cheaper. So if you got 38,000, you're already down to $16,000. So if they give you 16, 18, 20,000 bucks, you're ahead of the game.
When I was asked to come back with the buyback at the first meeting, I said it would be irresponsible for us to do a buyback. I said irresponsible for Patriot and irresponsible for the taxpayers of the town. So I never said I was gonna come back with the buyback. The first time I said no. This time I took the exception because it was in the bid. Now, you could disqualify me for that, but like I said, I'm still saying that's an irresponsible decision for the taxpayers.
In talking to some other people who own Macs and have owned Macs for quite some time, they're not happy with the quality of the vehicle as it's now coming out because of the Volvo relationship, and the parts have gone through the roof. So I'm wondering if we factored that in also.
They've been factored with Volvo for years.
Yeah.
We've got 3 of them that are been done during that, and we haven't had the issues with them.
They pretty much proven themselves. There are a lot less repairs than the other truck we get over there.
Is there anybody else who has something to say?
I have a question as far as like the dump body, being noted as only a Tenco, but I don't believe it is. It just says the town does business with Tenco New York, or New England. And there's specifications for the body, which I would assume they're probably Tenco specifications. Is that correct? That is correct, yeah. So it could be open to any dump body.
It just needs, it needs to be the same quality body, that's the key.
Mhm.
Jay's got the sheet that shows everything's missing on it, if you guys want to see that.
If you have, yeah. Actually. Well, this is on the title, Tenco versus Viking.
Yes. The stuff highlighted is the stuff that wasn't included in the Viking body.
The Viking body.
And we were at that town fair or whatever a couple of weeks ago when the guys had talked with somebody that had just got a Viking body. And they, I think you guys can fill in on what they said.
Yeah, they were very disappointed with the quality of the Viking body that was there. He actually said he ended up taking a sledgehammer to get the back doors to latch fresh from the factory, and it just went on from there. The locks weren't working correctly. The tailgate wasn't fitting up against the back body correctly, so you were losing everything. This was a tandem, and it dumped, and the tailgate stood open when they put the body down. You know, so it was
What year was the dump body? Was it a new one?
brand new,
Brand new.
right fresh from the factory.
I mean, we had the same problem with Timco on that 550 too, if I remember rightly. They loaded out with a load of sand, you know, all the smaller body. That was made for a 550. And one all of a sudden twisted, and one side's sitting 6 inches higher than the other side. I mean, we had to take that and have it re-straightened and re-tied.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're gonna,
Could you name the
I
customer?
mean, no matter what you get, if you get something.
Don't,
Could you name the customer?
No, there was two different ones when we spoke to up there, walked up to us on the floor. We don't ask names of everybody that comes on us.
Oh, okay, that's a, he said, she said.
It was sitting on a Freightliner truck, but it was a northern town.
The other nice thing about Tenco is that they have a sander chain sitting there in the garage, so that if the sander chain breaks during the storm, that chain's right there. You don't have to buy two chains, you only have to buy the one, and we've done it before. We've had the chains break in the middle of storms, and we replace them. And if you call Tenco because there's something wrong with the truck, they'll take it that day if you can get it up there, and they'll get it back to you so that it's running again. I mean, Tenco's been excellent to this town.
Doug?
I think there was a motion that, you know, about the Western Star, with whatever body you want. I have no problems quoting you with a Tenco body, they're giving you a Tenco body. I just want to put you into a Western Star. So I'm not arguing about Viking or Tenco. I really don't care. I put two comparable products in front of you for you to make a decision. I just want to know, do you want the Western Star or not?
Chris?
We're discussing this now. Why are you trying to push us? I don't like that.
Oh, I did make a motion.
I know, but we're still discussing it, Mike. I don't have a problem with
And
making
I
no.
said, it's just like that. I mean, I didn't go with the cheaper truck either.
Me
Like the Freightliner.
pushing
one.
Wait, let's, one at a time.
And I said, I went with the Western Star because I believe they do have a better cab than the Freightliners and stuff. I didn't go with the cheapest truck. I mean, I could have said, go with the Viking.
Okay.
The cheap one, if I'm looking at that, that's only like $4,000 difference. But I figured, you know, I think the Western Star is built better than the Freightliner a little bit.
Okay.
Other than that, other than the cabs, like we said last time, it's the same trucks.
Okay, we do have Mike's motion, and the part of that motion right now is the discussion. And so, as I keep saying, is there anybody who wants to add anything to discussion? Chris?
I don't have a problem, well, I do, but that's beside the point. We said in the bid, a single frame. Now we're talking about reinforcing the frame so it's a double frame. It's not what we bid for. Why do you write up specs if you don't go by them?
I don't think you know what you're talking about, because it's not a double frame. Sorry.
But you said you have to put a liner in there to strengthen it.
That
Now,
makes,
I thought that was.
that's, if you look at it, that was one of the body shop quotes. The body shop quotes say that they're gonna put a liner in or reinforcement.
Well, that was in your bid.
That's every
Body
body
company.
company puts in a bid when they do that.
Mac doesn't do that.
Go out to your truck.
we got a motion. Get it done with the garage, better
Okay.
business.
So we have a motion, we've discussed a lot of things. If there's, yes,
Yeah, but just, once again, if you go with Tenco, the body company of your choice, they'll tell you. They'll tell you that they, won't, you know, if they put a frame, you know, support in or not. They'll tell you. It's got nothing to do with us. It's got nothing to do with the chassis. They do it on every one.
is there any more discussion? Anybody have anything else to say?
So,
Excuse me, yes?
looks like we're basically talking about not the dump body, but just the cabin chassis, and the delta there is about 9,000 between Mack and between Western Star, with Western Star being cheaper.
So the difference altogether is 9,000?
Yeah, getting rid of all the other stuff, we're talking about the truck
Yeah,
alone, just the
Right.
truck. Because that's really what we're buying, the other
Right.
things go with it, of course. But the thing that we need to be making a decision on, since we're talking about worrying about the body down the road, and I'm not sure how that's supposed to work out, but Mike, what do you think?
I said let them review it more. Go through it a little more, go talk to more people about it.
The only problem is I think you guys bid it out as a package deal.
And go
They
with,
bid it out separately.
like he said, he don't care if it's Timco or that. If you want to spend another 10 grand, go on
They didn't bid
Timco.
a separate bid, they bid it as a package deal. That's the problem.
Right.
But they broke them out.
so Gary, I have a
It's two separate
question. You're
prices.
saying basically there's only a $9,000 difference from the,
In between the Mack
And-
truck and
okay,
the
so
Western
how
Star,
come-
based on,
what is Mike saying? It's like 28,000? Didn't you say it's a lot more?
No, I said with the cheapest bid, which was a Freightliner, it's
Yeah.
$20-some thousand
it was
cheaper.
about 20,000 between the lowest bid and where we are,
Okay.
with the Viking body and with the Freightliner,
I see.
okay?
Okay.
But we're talking about, we've narrowed that down now,
And
we're
to
just
the one
talking
that
about the
Mike is talking.
Western Star and the Mack.
Okay. So there's $9,000 difference.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the cabin chassis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Chris? Oh, did you?
No, she just was interested.
It's actually
Well-
a little bit more than that because of the trade-in. Remember, they were giving us 15,000 plus an additional 1,500, he said,
Yeah,
and plus the half of anything beyond that 15.
correct.
So if we're still under this motion and we can still have some discussion, is that correct? Yes? So I'm gonna say something again. We have these guys here who are working every single day with these trucks. We're not gonna be dealing with the trucks. You're not, I'm not, we're not, he is. The guys are back there who come to work every day dealing with the trucks. If in fact now that we're down to only a $9,000 difference, I mean, is that worth, is that such a big amount that it's worth having, not letting the guys do what they do best and using the equipment that they feel is best for what they need to do? That's my question. I don't care. I know, as I've said before, I don't know
So I'm
one
just
truck
gonna
from
ask, let me ask
another.
the road crew a question then. So if we buy a Western Star, are they all getting done?
I'm sorry.
If we don't buy the Mac, we go with the Western Star, does that mean the road crew's done?
It doesn't mean the road crew's done, with him laying out everything, all the work he's put into this. And then we are having the same truck, so if I jump into one, all the buttons are in the same spot. I don't have to worry about trying to figure out where everything is. If mine breaks down, I jump into it. You know, the parts are the same, goes to the same dealership.
I know, that's what I said the
Yeah,
first
the
time.
only parts you don't fool with is oil changes.
And then I've also
Other than
had,
that, you don't touch that truck. I mean, that goes in for service and all that stuff, and then,
Well, you do your own air filter too, don't you?
yeah, an air filter and oil filter, but I mean,
oh, you do brakes and stuff on them.
I mean, I
Great
think that
canisters,
I
great
said that last
plastic
time. I mean, they know these trucks, they know the trucks. Yes.
So where is it being serviced, this Mac? How long does it take to get there? What's the downtime on it versus something that's more local?
It's, what is
City
it,
line.
just under an hour, I think it takes us.
And Doug, you're in Putney,
Westminster.
Westminster.
So do they give you like a truck to use at all? Never.
They give you a loaner car to come back with it fast to stay there. They do.
To drive back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Too many times I've seen where the town is bought. And I don't have anything against the Western Fair at all. Too many times I've seen where the town is not done with, they spec out, and they hit it. They had internationals that were constantly over deliveries. That's 2 hours from here. They were constantly over there, because they were constantly broke down. The truck that you're trading in has been constantly at Westminster that they can't fix. So it went to Northeast Cummins, they couldn't get it to run. They finally went over to Twin State, they got it fixed. Finally, that truck spent more time in the garage than it has on the road.
You're talking about the Sterling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for everybody. What would the select board want for these guys who are doing the work every single day? Even though there's a difference still in price. These are the guys who are working. These are the guys who we thank. These are the guys who we trust. Really, I'm looking at the overall picture, not just, you think I read this? I can't read this, this is Chinese to me. What I'm talking about is looking at these guys who we thank all the time, who we count on, who they're always there for us. So they want one kind of a truck because they have 3 of the other kind, and honest to God, I don't care what the name of the truck is. I'm talking about how they function as a group in that town garage. Why can't they have what they feel most comfortable with, given that they already have 3 of those brands? And that's how I feel.
But Marion, this is supposed to be unbiased.
It
It's
is
supposed to be
unbiased.
It's supposed
It
to be
is.
unbiased. It
It
has
is.
to be
This is
based on
my
the
opinion.
equipment.
Yes, it
and,
is.
you know,
It's based on the
consideration-
equipment.
Okay, it's based on the equipment and also the price and also those people that are taxpayers and are paying for the equipment.
Well, the
And
taxpayers voted for a certain amount of money that the town could use. If it were above that, this would be a different conversation. But right
it's
now, we're
about
still in the
looking at-
guidelines of the amount of money that the town has voted on that they can use for a truck. I mean, we're gonna have to vote in a few minutes.
Let's vote.
It's like we
Well, get no wood. Call for the vote.
call for the vote.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling for the vote. So, who would like to put the vote in?
I already made the motion.
You made it.
Made the motion. So we are voting if we're going
Has
to
it been
have.
seconded?
Yes,
Shelley
I did.
seconded it.
Yes, okay. So all those in favor of purchasing the Western Star,
Mhm.
please say aye.
With the decision that the body will be, continue to work on a price there and to come back. and
No,
do that.
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no.
we're not changing it.
We
That was the
can't.
motion.
That was the motion.
What's the,
Can you repeat the motion that you made,
I'll
please?
repeat it.
I made the motion. Go ahead
To
then.
purchase the 2019 Western Star with the body to be determined later. How much later, I don't,
But then we're not voting on an exact
just
truck.
the truck, not the body. You're voting on the truck, but not the body.
No, I disagree with
That's what the motion is.
Yes, Doug?
Yeah, like I said in the last meeting too, I have your truck, that Western Star, to your specifications that meet every single spec on order, and they'll be coming in the first week of September. So if you take the Western Star, you'll be plowing this year with it. you'll never get a Mack until next year, regardless of what everybody else tells you from McDevitt Trucks. There is no Mack on order.
That's hearsay too. You weren't a Mac deal, you can't say that.
Yes, I can. I was with the general manager of McDevitt Trucks this morning, so I can say that.
I don't think so.
So, well, you
I
were
mean, I
in my
don't care
office,
about the, I mean, we can go with the dump body if they wanna put a body on it.
but
I just thought that'd give Jay and them a little bit longer if they wanna really investigate the Viking compared to the other. I mean, it's $10,000 cheaper between the dump bodies. I think it's fair to really look it over good.
and my point was just that, you have until that period of time to decide on what body you want. And like I said, Patriot doesn't care what body you put on. I just brought you an alternative.
So we're going to vote.
Did Chris have something else that he wanted to say?
Yeah, I do. Now, he already said he's already ordered the truck for us, so he knows he's getting a bid. That don't get it with me
I
at
don't
all.
think that's what he's saying.
I said that I ordered the truck on speculation that I was gonna get the bid. Yeah, I don't know anybody, that's gonna be awarded. You hear it here, that, that you guys want a Mack. So I took it upon myself to put a truck out there. Yes, I did do that.
Don't look at me.
I'm looking at
Jesus,
everybody.
Chairman.
Yes, I am.
Let's
Well,
vote.
you
I
vote
said
the
we
way
could
I
vote.
just did it. I mean, you got two choices. You either got the Viking or the other thing.
Right.
I mean, I could say, let's go with the Viking. Save yourself 20 grand. But I just given Jay that option to check them out.
Jay,
But if you make the Viking body the same as the Tenco, it's the same money. They took off too much stuff. They made it a cheap body. So if you want a Tenco body, you can get a $1,400 cheaper than the Viking. But it doesn't have the stuff that we put in our bodies, the thicker sidewalls, they're specking out a lighter body.
So the Viking got the thicker sidewalls and all that?
No, it doesn't. So that's the problem. The Tenco does a much heavier, there's the,
No, that's what I meant, the Tenco.
Tenco does, yes.
They have stainless steel in the corner so it doesn't
Right.
rust out.
Those are the items that are not included in the.
Well, I guess if you wanna change the thing, the motion, then I'll go with the Western Star with the Tenco body, because you gotta have a body order now. I'll just give you a chance to really look them over.
You want to amend your motion?
That makes everybody happy. If they think you gotta have one of these bids, one or the other, let's do it. I'll amend it to go with one of the Tenco bodies.
I'll second the amended motion.
okay, we have a motion. Would you repeat the motion now?
Shannon, go ahead.
Shannon, would you repeat the motion,
Yes,
please?
to purchase the 2019 Western Star with the Tenco body.
All
Wait a
those
second,
in
Gary.
favor of
Sorry.
purchasing?
We need to vote on the amendment first, and then
Yes.
vote on the motion as it is.
Oh, okay. So we're voting
Well-
on the amendment.
He withdrew his motion.
He amended it, and she seconded the amendment.
Mm-hmm.
So now we
Okay.
need to vote on the
We need to vote the
amendment.
amendment, yep.
Okay, so all those in favor of voting for the amendment, please say aye.
Well, you need to
You
spell
have to
out
say what it
exactly
is.
what it is the amendment is.
So the amendment is to add the Tenco body. So right now, they're voting on whether they want to amend the motion or not.
Okay. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Nay.
I
So we
still
have-
don't understand it. It's so goddamn screwed up.
Okay, so now the motion has been amended to say to purchase 2019 Western Star with a Tenco body. Now you can vote on that.
Not yet. The
Well,
motion the amendment we just voted on was just for the Tenco body.
to add it to the original
No, we
motion.
just said, yes, essentially it's to the Tenco body. So now we're back to the original motion, which would be the truck itself.
Oh, no,
With the Tenco body, it's already been approved.
no, I misunderstood. I thought they were voting to add the Tenco body to the motion, the original motion.
Well,
and then you just voted to amend the original motion.
Right, but you've already, you specified now the Tenco.
Right, so
Okay.
now the motion
Now
says the
you
whole
have the
thing.
motion, yeah, with the whole package. But essentially, you've already voted that part, so you're
Right.
going with the vehicle.
Do we have to make another motion?
No,
Okay.
it's already there. Now you're just voting.
Okay, we're voting for the Western Star. Okay. All
You're voting
those,
on the Western Star.
what?
You're
Not
voting
for it.
on the Western
Voting
Star.
on it.
On it,
Yeah.
The Tenco body, with the Tenco body.
with the, okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
We already
You already
did.
have
All right,
We
yeah.
have, okay, so all those in favor of voting, purchasing the Western Star, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, the ayes have it. So the town is purchasing the Western Star, Western Star,
With the Tenco body.
with the Tenco body. Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Don't make us eat these words.
I'll be here.
Yes, Todd,
I think at some point we need to look at your,
could you stand up again? So,
I guess sometime there's a policy for the town that says, like when I own Wester, where I couldn't inspect trucks there. I don't know what you call it. What policy is
Conflict
that?
of interest.
Conflict of interest policy. I think you should really look into it, because I think Mike shouldn't even been involved in this. Because he buys trucks through, he just bought a truck through him, or through his company. That's where you got your log truck from, right?
No,
I thought it said,
I bought the log truck at an auction.
but he deals with these dealers all the time, and I think it's pretty clear in that conflict of interest policy where you really shouldn't be
Well, I
doing
tell
that.
you what, Todd, I sure as hell didn't have nothing with him coming with a lower price.
Oh,
And
that's
like I
fine.
said before, I mean, if y'all get into the same meeting we had last time, we will. And this is- the whole damn thing before was, and it's just like he said, lowest fair qualified bid. And why ask these people if you're gonna eat it apart, you know? That's all I'm looking at, low bid's low bid. And when they come in on a bid like that, if you didn't want a Western Star or Freightliner or anything else, you should have been asking 2 or 3 different mag dealers.
I wasn't part of this part of the deal anyways.
No, but last time you was, you know, we went with you because there wasn't that big a difference between the two prices either.
Right.
But I said, this guy comes in, he's been in with qualified bidders. I have nothing to do with that, just because I bought a truck over there 2 or 3 years ago.
I'm just saying that that's what people have been saying to me. They don't understand why the conflict of interest policy is being followed.
And it's just like I said last time, if anybody's got a complaint with anything I do on this damn, they can take my position any time they want, you know?
I
okay,
know, I was there.
Mike, I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm answering the way I'm telling it, so don't tell me to be quiet. When
I'm not
they ask
telling
me
you to-
something-
no,
when
I
he
didn't
asks-
say
when he
to
asks
be
me
quiet.
something- you're waving your hands at me. These guys asked me something about conflict, I told them that when I took this job, right in the beginning of being a selectman, if there's any conflict with anything to do with any of my business, I would sure as hell won't do it for no goddamn $500 a year. I'd back out of this so quick. And the same with this truck thing. When I went on this board, I went on it because of him. He wanted me to help him out, and that's nothing what I've done. I've helped him. I've been in favor of anything you guys got to do with the fire department.
Oh, yeah.
You went from $15,000 to $50,000 a year. I mean, we've all pushed that stuff. Eddie Druk over here, I pushed to help to get his thing through. Anything I do on this thing is something for the town or somebody else. But the thing is, I don't like an unfair bid. This guy comes in bidding. I mean, if he's got something that's qualified for that, I don't care if it's Mac or Western Star or what it is. Mac could have lowered their price.
I'm sorry, Mike, I was not telling you to be quiet. I was just saying that it would be good if we can all speak in a calm way.
Well, I was speaking common
Okay,
compared to all the time.
okay.
Madam
Gary?
Chairman, normally the conflict of interest policy would relate to a fiduciary interest. He would, a member of the board would stand to gain something financially, as you know. And I don't think that that's even come up. as we have it right now. But maybe we are looking at the purchasing policy, maybe we should look at the conflict of interest policy too.
So I don't wanna get involved in it. I was up there before, and
Yeah.
I know you guys are doing what you can do, I'm just saying.
Their position's
People mentioned
open.
it to me, and I just said, well, I didn't really wanna bring it up, but I did, so now I got Mike mad at me, and that's not good either,
I
so.
don't get mad at you.
He just gets even.
Mike and I worked together for
I
a
just
long
wanted
time.
to make it known that I only met Mike here at the select board meetings, just the, first time, so I wouldn't even know if he ever bought a truck at Patriot or not. So,
And anytime it's got something to do with a conflict, I vote, if I didn't do it, I always sit it out.
Yes, you
I
do.
mean, I don't sit up now, I mean, like I said, I'm not got nothing to gain from this truck.
Can we move on?
Yes, we may. Okay.
Is that okay, Todd? You okay?
Well, first of all, thank you for everybody
Yeah.
coming here. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for all the road crew to be here. And thanks for, everybody having a share in their opinions. Okay, next is the paving bids. Jay?
So the next two segments on our plan is to do a half a mile on Depot, which would be the rest of Depot Hill, or Depot Road, and 0.4 miles on Grimes Hill Road, which is basically from right near Newfane Hill over to Route 30. And Mike had asked about milling last time, so we're putting it out that they're gonna mill 1.5 inches, and that we'll truck the millings to the garage, and then hopefully we can use them into the gravel at some point. Apparently millings have become more valuable, so everybody's after them. I'm hoping that we can get that much done with the money we have. So, if, the bids come in way above it, we may have to rethink how it does, but that's what we'll try and see how it works.
Okay.
Well, if the bid did come in a little higher, you would offset part of that cost with not having to buy quite so much gravel and paving the material for the secondary roads, because you had the millings.
Well, we've got 130 for paving, correct? Is that right? 130,000 for paving. And we're hopeful that we can fall into that with those two, the 0.9 miles of road with the milling. We hope we can fall in pretty close to that, though I don't know.
One of the ideas about the milling in the first place, when Todd was on the board, we have some problem with the mud and stuff. One of them's up on that South Ward Road, that flat that always muds up. Well, we was thinking about the millings, we talked it over to Springfield Paving, he's the one that suggested it too. You took them millings and then you take a paver and put right down about 3 inches of that stuff, and then go over the top of it with 1 inch overlay. And it'll make a good road and stuff like that. I would think that maybe you might be able to get rid of some of this mud in the springtime where, that South Ward Road costs us a lot of money every spring usually to keep it gravelled and stuff like that. So if you put some of this stuff down, maybe it's one way of sealing off some of that stuff.
You started right at the town line and worked your way back, that's where most of the mud is.
All right.
Down to Clarkson's.
Yeah.
That's the further up, yeah,
You always,
because the lower part is really good this year, for whatever reason.
Basically, Eddie Road up to this.
Okay.
it's like a mile from that bridge right there, we're pushing flat bridge right up to the property, the town line, so. That's what we was always thinking, we take some of the millings and put down and go over it with some other stuff.
It sure is worth trying.
It works really good. They did that to my road, and we don't have mud anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
You put enough gravel into that road that it already rained in stone in China.
There's no drainage there, that's why it's that way.
Yeah.
So it's, the bids will be received no later than 3 p.m. on June 18th. And all bids shall be opened at the Select Board meeting on June 18th at 6 p.m. Is there anything further to discuss about that?
And then I think we put the last date that they could pay was September 30th, is that?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want them getting too late in the fall for paving,
Yeah, when does the plant close?
Thanksgiving or something.
Problem
Okay,
is, it stays wet.
Yeah.
After that,
Yeah.
you get leaves on the road, they can't get rid of the next time.
Do we need any action on this?
no,
If you have no objection, we'll send them out.
no. Okay. Thank you, Jay. And thank you very much for coming, and have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, administrative assistance report, please.
And I don't have a written report tonight, so I'll just tell you. We are waiting for a permit from the state for the lot line adjustment for WW town. As soon as that comes in, we can hold a closing. We are hopeful for Thursday at 11, and you've already authorized Marion to sign, so she can attend. My review was completed by Marion and Christopher. It is in my file now. So that's done. And other than that, I'm continuing to work with FEMA in getting all of the necessary information that they need. And usually when you give it to them, they decide they want it in a completely different format, so they have to rework what you gave them. But it's all there, it just has to be rearranged again. And then the emergency watershed protection for the homeowner whose property was damaged in that last storm, working with USDA on that. So that's what's been keeping me busy.
Any questions or comments for Shannon?
I have a question, only because, like, if something's damaged like that in the watershed, like a storm or something, how would the person know that they were to, or have assistance? Do they come here and say, I have a problem, or?
We usually hear from them because they're wondering about lowering the value of their property, or, you know, the town office is where people come when they need help. But it's rare that the federal government always has funding for this project, and the damage around the state has to equal a certain amount to even start the project up. So it's kind of hit or miss that.
So if somebody has a question, they should come to the town
Really
and
should, because if we
investigate.
don't have the answer, we'll know where to find the answer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
Motion to accept the administrative assistance report.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you, Shannon. Your administrative assistant report has been accepted. We're moving now to unscheduled members of the public, and it is with Wayne Esty.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. A very good meeting and a very good example of why I live in Vermont now and why I want to be the senator for Windham County. Civil, informed, and that matters to me. I've been a public employee for over 30 years, retired attorney, and taught college and middle school, now the zoning administrator, which is dangerous to the sign, for Dover. And I still have time on my hands, and I say these are the devil's tools because if I don't keep myself busy, I'll get in trouble. I also paint, and I have a studio in Brattleboro because that's where a lot of the painters and the paintings get shown. The things I want to do if I with them all down here, but I'm not going to, just for my own little holding in my hand. Basically economic development. And that's because I believe it's at the center of the web of everything that matters. Talk about the tax rate, how much money you have to spend. Well, that depends on how big your grand list is and how valuable the houses are. Those depend on whether people want to move here. I moved here because it's beautiful. It's governed just like it was governed 10 minutes ago. A lot of people who don't know Vermont, they want to know if they're going to be able to live here the way they have lived wherever they come from. That means childcare, where they used to rely on their families and aunts or uncles. They may move here from someplace and they say, where am I going to bring my kids? That's important. They say, do I have a cell phone coverage? A lot of people have been here a long time. They don't have TVs. They don't have internet. They don't know what they're missing. I was the last person in my family to get a cell phone. My wife would call me from the end of the street and say, I'm almost home. And I'd hang up on her because I did not appreciate the value of the cell phone. Now that I have a cell phone, I don't know if I could live without it. People who are thinking about moving to Vermont, they expect good internet. They expect cell phone coverage as a necessity. It's a new world we live in. How do you get economic development? The current legislature thinks maybe you could squeeze the schools by unifying them and cutting costs. I disagree. It's a 19th century solution to a 21st century problem. Back in the day, you got all the factory workers in the same factory and you got efficiencies. That's no longer the case. People work from home. They don't have to go to the factory. They share office space. They stay in wherever. They bring the work to the workers. And we could do that too if we had the cellular internet structure underlying the towns in Windham County that we don't have. They assume that the cost of transporting the kids is not included. Maybe you'll say the superintendent or something like this, and but they're not including all the costs, and I'm not sure all those savings are real. The thing that's not counted at all is that if you move the schools someplace else and the kids someplace else, you're basically draining the intelligentsia out of every community. Because the teachers, the coaches, the troop leaders, they're all going to move closer to their jobs. And who's going to sit on this board? Who's going to be the volunteer for the trees or the cemetery or planning commission or all the other boards? Well, they move to another town where the school that they work in, that they don't have to commute to, that, to me, it's not even included in the calculation that they might save money with unifying the schools on the backs of the children. I believe you could get some nearly cost-free economic development right from the state itself. Windham County has 6% of the state's population, has less than 3% of the state workers. 5,200 and something state workers are in Burlington and Montpelier. There's 236 state workers in all of Windham County. They put those 236 workers put $12 million into Windham County's economy. Those 5,000 workers put $319 million into just the Burlington and Montpelier economy, 29 times larger. What if we move some of those agencies out of Montpelier and Burlington into Windham County? It's a suggestion. Maybe the Dummerston DMV is open and is full service 5 days or 6 days a week. What if the Arts Commission is moved to Bellows Falls, which has recently been identified as the poorest town in Vermont, and only by a few dollars did they win out compared to the other towns in Windham County. Maybe you move the Public Service Commission and the Public Utility Commission down to Vernon, where they're making decisions about generations of those residents. they don't live there. They're not making decisions about their own backyard. Were they to move to Windham County, maybe they drive on our muddy roads and have our no-cell service and be faced with having their children driven 45 minutes away twice a day. They might make different decisions about what rules and policies they make. If I were the state senator from this county, I'm not looking to make a career. I've had a career. I'm not looking to become a state senator or U.S. senator, or rather, I'm not looking to become U.S. senator, U.S. representative. That's not my plan.
Wayne, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I'm done. I'm done. I've used
No,
my
no,
own time. You're not
I-
getting paid overtime.
No, you clearly are extremely knowledgeable and committed to our state and to Windham County. And I thank you for coming here tonight. And my question to you is, how did you decide to come to Newfane tonight? And what is it that you would like to have happen?
I come to Newfane for the same reason I'm going to every select board in Windham County. One select board I went to has not seen a state senator in 40 years. That's because there's not a lot of people who live there. That's not acceptable to me. So I'm here to say, here I am. Am I perfect? No. Do everything I believe in, agree with everything you believe in? No. I'm a package. You're gonna like some of the things I say, you're gonna hate some of the things I'm saying, but you'll know what they are. I am what I am, me and Popeye, and I'm not gonna pretend that listening. I wanna hear what you have to say. I reserve the right to get smarter. I may say X, Y, and Z, and then after I hear from people, I say, gee, that's a stupid idea. The Clean Water Act sounds great, except you probably know as road commissioner that the 80% that the state reimburses you in order to comply with the Clean Water Act, that 20% is enough to double your town's budget. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And that's the problem. I do not see the representatives that we have in the Senate recognizing that small towns, rural towns in Vermont are being bled to death, being strangled little by little. Take away the kids, take away a lot of local control. It's wrong. I don't think they're paying attention. They have their own agendas, and it's not the town's best interests.
Well, I personally thank you for coming here, and it's interesting to know that you're visiting the other select boards.
Those
And
that'll have me. I've had some say now, oh, okay.
well, I found it interesting to listen to you, and thank you for being here. Gary?
One quick question.
Yes.
Do you make organs?
No, but a more successful branch of the family did. Apparently.
Those roots are pretty deep in southern Vermont.
Oh, yeah, they've been well respected. Working conditions, equal pay for women, that kind of thing. My either my great grandfather was Jacob Estes' brother, and he went off to Aroostook County, mined potatoes, and Jacob came to Brattleboro and mined the organ industry. Organs were more valuable than potatoes. But that's kind of far back.
Do you show your artwork in Brattleboro?
I do.
I'd love to know where it is.
Right now, it's in Yala, Vermont. They used to sell
Oh.
hummus and what have you.
Yeah, I
at
have
Townsend Market.
yeah, I want to go in there.
Yeah, you better go early because they close. They run out of stuff.
Okay, I
and
know.
They're busy.
Yes, I've heard. I met them only once, and that was up at the Londonderry Farmers Market. But great, I'll go in and look at your artwork. Anybody else?
I've eaten there about for meat. It's a bad thing to say. I mean, but thank you for having me. I know you don't get
Well,
paid
thank you for
overtime.
coming here.
Well, I do care about
and I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you. I asked for your support, which I'm supposed to do, I always forget.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome
You're
to
welcome.
stay.
Well, I think I've heard enough.
Okay.
Oh,
Have a good evening then.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
I think he's leaving.
Okay, we are now on to old business.
I said make his way out.
Excuse me?
He made his way out. I didn't know if he might be lost.
Oh, it's a little hot to get one. Okay, we are on the old business Baker Brook Road right-of-way issues.
Huh.
And for that, I'm calling an executive session and to make a motion for executive session. And the reason for that is to discuss pending or probable civil litigation to which the public body is or may be a party pursuant to VSA, or is that one VSA?
One.
One VSA, section 313A1. Anybody second?
Oh, a second.
Okay. And I would like Shannon to join us, please.
so
Okay.
are we gonna do that here, or do we need to?
No, we can do it here. I think.
Okay.
So I'm calling executive session into order for 7:15 PM.
The camera's off?
You have to vote, don't you?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you gotta vote on it first.
You gotta vote.
Oh.
You have a motion and a second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any opposed, nay. Okay. Okay, we are out of executive session at 7:30 PM exactly. And Shannon and Jay Wilson will be following through with the item about the Baker Brook Road right-of-way. So thank you very much for that. The next item on old business is Lister vacancy. And we will be entering into executive session. It needs to be voted on. Is that correct, Shannon? Okay. And the reason we would be going into executive session again is to discuss the appointment of a public officer pursuant to 1 VSA Section 313A3. So if somebody can make a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody say nay? No. And we are inviting Shannon to go into executive session. Okay. Okay, we are now out of executive session, and it is 8:45 PM. And we need,
7:45?
excuse me, 7:45 PM. I am so sorry, 7:45. Time flies when you're having fun here. So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dennis Wiswell as lister.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Dennis Wiswall for the position of Newfane Lister, and all those in favor, I need a second though,
Gary
please.
seconded.
Gary seconded.
Sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so Dennis Wiswall is being hired as the next select board, lister, and that is a fill-in position, which is not a full year, it's up until next March. Yes,
Have Shannon write the other gentleman a letter
Yes.
Absolutely.
thanking him for,
absolutely.
And we definitely want him to get involved. He's a good guy.
And the other person is Bobby Powers.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? No. Okay, the next one is purchasing policy. That is the next item under old business. And we turn to Shelley and Gary, please.
Gary, start.
We looked at the purchasing policy as it now stands, and it's fairly general for Vermont. There are some recommendations that we would make. Number one, under bid process, because it ties into some other things. Under bid process, we think that probably we ought to have some breakouts for what requires a bid at what level. This is typically done in municipal authorities where a certain amount can be purchased by staff without any approval or bid or anything else. That typically is anywhere from $2,000 down. From 2,000 to 10,000, you would have a bid process or some other number where the phone call bids are acceptable. And then from a certain amount above, you go to an RFP. And we have not had time to break that out and include it. But there are recommendations that we have done so far. For example, under bid specifications, if you have the policy in front of you.
I don't have it.
All right, under the bid specifications, we'll make this so you don't have to have it in front of you. There's an item that says specifications for the project or services including, and we've added specific parts, quantity, design, and performance features. The specific parts part, for example, would have made it easier for the highway department to, for example, bid a specific truck with specific features that would have gone primarily to those vendors first. Of course, any vendor can bid something under an R equal, but if you specify the parts, that makes it easier for you to specify where the bid goes. And it does also tell us exactly what are the things that they're including and not including.
Sorry, Gary.
Yeah.
Are you gonna give me a copy
Yeah.
of that so I don't try to keep up with it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm going to give you this copy.
Okay, good, thanks.
Are we getting copies, all of this?
Yes, yeah. I think probably we just want to discuss it.
Right.
To not
Yeah,
get
That's fine, I
past
just
it.
didn't
yeah.
wanna try to keep up with it.
It's just a few things that are primarily housekeeping. Under bid specifications also, add an item 9 on the bid itself that is the criteria for bid selection. This is recommended by both the state and the VLCT, that the bid itself should have what is the criteria for being awarded the bid. And we have criteria listed here for bid acceptance, but that should be also in specific to the bid itself, listed on the bid.
It's
that
going
goes
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they know what it takes to win a bid. Bid proposals, under bid submission, we have bid proposal will be date and time stamp, and time is added so that when bids come in, they get a date stamp on them when they arrive and the time that they arrive, so that if there's any question about was this received on time or not, it's right there on the envelope. Shannon or anybody else on staff doesn't have to say, well, they got here on time. The envelope tells you. Under the second paragraph, bidder shall, and this is added, respond to all bid specifications and any exceptions must be noted. So that we know, either by a check mark next to that specification, that they meet it or they don't meet it. They're going to offer an exception. Or in their RFP response, they write in, agreed and understood for each one of the specifications. So we know that they are required to meet that bid in that specification. It's right there up front for them. Finally, there's the sentence, the paragraph that says the select board reserves the right of sole discretion to reject any and all bids, etc. The very first sentence of our bid policy is the purpose of purchasing policy is to obtain the highest quality goods and services for the town of Newfane at the lowest possible price. But then this whole paragraph just talked about how we're going to throw all the bids out. We're going to decide what we want to do, regardless of what the bid says. Now, I don't think that's really the way that the state or the VLCT intends this to be. I think that they want a bid that meets a certain specification and delivers at a certain price. And that while our goal should be, yes, we do have to protect ourselves and say we can reject all bids, we can change the process once, but what we should tell the bidder up front is, once a bid, I'm lost. All things being equal, the town prefers to award to the most qualified bid with the lowest purchase price.
Why is this in person?
That's shorthand. When you have the dots back in here, it means we're not taking it out.
So that just adds to the boilerplate that our goal is right here. We want to award the best qualified bid at the lowest possible price. And then finally, under change orders, our change order process, but I don't imagine we get a lot of change orders.
Rarely.
Yeah, but under Hurricane Irene and projects like that, you likely are going to get a lot of change orders because they go in with a certain price.
Actually, they suspended the bid process for Irene, so.
Yeah, so, but still you have to maintain control over change orders. And the way that it's said initially, the Selectboard will prepare in advance a change order. Well, the Selectboard doesn't prepare a change order, the contractor prepares a change order. He's the one who's discovered something that needs to be changed. So the vendor will prepare a change order specifying the scope of the change, the effect on the project timetable, and the impact on the project budget. So we need to know right up front before we consider or approve the change, what it's going to do to the timetable and what it's going to do to the cost. Then we can make a decision whether a change order is something we want to approve or pass by. Those are the only changes that we came up with. And like I said, we have one item here that we in talking among ourselves, we decided we probably ought to flesh this out a little bit more, and that's on the bid process. Break out bid amounts so that staff has more freedom to work in some areas that where the prices are lower, but at the same time, they can make telephone bids up to a certain number, and then beyond that, we have to go to a written process. That will make it easier on staff, it'll make it easier on us to evaluate.
Not only a phone bill bid, but an email bid. We
No.
had discussed about not accepting email bids either.
Right, yes.
And I don't know about the phone bid thing.
Well, I mean, the phone bids are when you call, you call out and say, how much are pencils? You know.
I do that every time I order pencils.
Right, yeah. And so, I mean, it would also then allow us to have some block bids. For example, you put out a bid at the beginning of the year for all your office supplies. Or for your office supplies, a big lot of them. And then you have your bidders come in, and Staples or whomever is the low bidder on that. And you say, okay, then we're going to award the bids for the rest of the year to this vendor because they were lowest at the beginning. That's perfectly legal. It allows them to go ahead and pick up the phone and call, and when they need supplies, get them here without having to wait for us to meet and send us more paperwork. You know, would you be willing to buy a box of Staples from Staples? Yeah. So they should not have to go through us for that part of the process. So based on that part, those are the changes that we looked at, and we can send all these out to you on email. But we still want to add one last thing, which is what I just mentioned about breaking out the bids by price points, and include that before we send it to you for final approval.
I have a question.
Sure.
On closed bids,
Yeah.
you can't do that on email.
Well, we were talking.
You can't do that on email.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
There are
We did
places
get
now
something
who
in
are
as an
accepting email bids at a certain level. But on an item that's expensive, where numbers are significant, like on purchasing a vehicle, that person needs to be sure their bid is there, stamped, timed in, and ready for us to open. The risk for doing that on an email bid, I mean, the risk is totally on them.
But why do we have to even allow email bids then?
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
there are some situations where you would want to do that.
And-
Shannon says, I need to buy a new contract for water bottles. And so I'm interested in getting a supplier to give us bids on water bottles. And so that's not going to be enough money to really justify it coming to us. And the email bid will be just fine
It
for
would be
that.
the same as the level for phone bid.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. It's just but not for the sealed bid,
Mhm.
which is your highest level of bid process and the most formal. And I think for that, doing an email bid or a fax bid on those wouldn't be acceptable.
So that should be stated in your.
Right,
That's,
right,
it
right.
will be. This will be stated in your bid process.
Which, one of the bids from one of our, I guess, excavators came in as an email bid. So I don't think we should allow that.
And it went to 2 different people.
Yeah. So that does not qualify as a sealed bid.
It's not even in our regular current statement.
Exactly. So we will detail that out, what would be acceptable for an email bid, what requires presence or mail or certified or whatever they want to do. And so that's very clear to, the idea is let's lock down some things that we know need attention. Let's open some things up that allows staff to do their work without having to come to us for every nickel and dime, rubber band and staple. But as they move up toward more expensive items, there are some controls in place that require more formal contact.
So you're going to email this to everybody?
We're gonna email this,
And then we
or
can
do you want me
review
to, do you want us to finish working out this new bid process section, then email the whole
Yes,
thing?
yes.
Okay, so what you'll get a document from me that has all the old language, well, and it has the new language written in red.
Yeah.
So you can see exactly what the changes are. And we'll try to get those out to you in the next couple of days so we can sign off on this at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much, Shelley and Gary, for working on that.
You're welcome.
So correspondence, I don't think we have any, do we, Shannon? Oh, I didn't see that before. Thank you.
I have something in old business that I wanted to bring up. Does it have to be on the agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
do we have that on the agenda?
No.
No.
I can put it on the next one, or
Okay.
if it's, yeah,
Okay.
June 4th.
June 4th, okay. Okay, so are we back to correspondence?
What, I'm
We're
sorry?
back to correspondence.
Yes, sorry.
This is a letter that was sent out on May 11th, 2018. It's a municipal roads grant and aid program memo. And it's an introduction to the municipal roads grant and aid program to explain what it does and why it was created and how it's worked. It's being sent by the Wyndham Regional Commission, and there also is an invitation to participate in municipal roads grant and aid programs. And if anybody is interested, you have, the municipality has to return the signed letter by June 22nd. So if anybody is interested in reading about this, I think we'll just put it up on the correspondence.
For municipal roads?
Yeah,
Yes.
we have a grant right now that's current.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
if they want to apply for next year, they have to have their letter of intent in
Yeah.
June 22nd.
Wow.
But
It's a,
what I can do is talk to Jay and see if he thinks that he's going to want another one for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says that the municipalities may submit their letter of intent to participate by June 22nd, 2018.
So I'll check with Jay. I think he does want to. So.
Okay.
And then who goes to this grant and aid thing?
It's just it's money that they give you to keep working on the roads.
Oh, but
Anybody
this,
want-
you don't have to go to a
Mike,
meeting
you
or
wanna look at
anything?
it?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Chris?
Oh, yeah,
Gary, you wanna
definitely.
look at it?
I'll look at it.
No, I think you get this every year, don't you?
I haven't seen
We
it.
think
got
so.
one, yeah, it's new for this current fiscal year, and this will be, I think, the second one. And it's trying to help towns keep up with some of the roads that are gonna have to change.
I think Jay and Chris, this would be a fun project for them,
What's that?
deciding if we want this grant.
I mean, we always want money.
Yeah,
We love money.
anybody else's money, but ours.
Right, yeah.
Okay, well, that's the only piece of correspondence that we have this evening. And if there's no further comment or questions about this piece of correspondence, it will be time to do pay orders. So we thank everybody for being here tonight in person, or if you will be watching this on television or on computer, online. Have a good day, and we'll see you next on June 4th, 6 p.m. Thank you very much.